still have a sexism problem.
We went undercover to test the gender bias at entry-level advertising, and we're here to tell you just how much of an advantage the industry gave us when it thought that we were men.
So my name is Jess, and this is my creative partner Nina, and we met studying advertising at the UK's sunniest university because we really wanted to learn how to make adverts that better reflect the world that we want to build.
Ads that truly do justice to the glory of the best bits of everyday life. So we were shocked and saddened to learn that the industry behind these ads is still so rife with sexism.
So we graduated right in the midst of COVID, and we were a little bit lost, what the hell do we do now? The whole industry had shut its doors, and so we turned to online critting. We found as many creatives as we possibly could that would give us their time, and we had loads and loads of meetings. But having so many meetings allowed us to start noticing some patterns in the way that we were being spoken to. And we kind of had a feeling, are we being spoken to as creatives, or are being spoken to as female creatives? But we didn't really have any reference points or anything to compare it to. We thought, is this just us? So we just decided to kind of muddle along and get on with things. But then we had a pretty horrific experience with a senior creative that made us kind of reassess everything.
Yeah, we were told by this very senior creative to seek out help and advice from a known sexual harasser. And that if we joined the video call and he wasn't wearing any trousers, it was fine, we could just hang up the call. And he laughed. Oh, it's all a joke. Of course he's only joking.
So this super insignificant comment that he just made as a very throwaway thing and got on with the rest of his day, it really made us think and reassess our career choices. Do we really want to be in an industry that's so problematic? Is this going to be normal for us? Is this going to be an everyday thing that we experience this kind of situations?
So we had a choice: to ignore it and accept that the Mad Men days aren't behind us, or to test out our theory and try to make a change. And you can probably guess which one we did. We created the first experiment to show that women get less opportunities to enter the ad industry, and that both men and women are treated very differently from day one.
Quite simply, we sent 40 emails with a portfolio link attached from Emma and Hannah, an all-female team. We then sent another 40 emails from Liam and Harry with the same portfolio and same email content. So the only thing that we really changed was the names and the photos attached.
During the experiment, the male team, Liam and Harry, received quite a few offers of online video quits, and we took them.
Yep, so instead of Liam and Harry, our faces popped up, and of course there was a little bit of confusion. Are we lost? No, we're not lost. We're actually just doing some research, and so we debriefed the creators, let them know what we were doing and what the research was for.
There were mixed reactions.
Yeah.
Safe to say we had two of the worst crits of our entire careers, with creatives that quite liked the work over email, but not so much in person.
Yeah, so some of the creatives were really keen to see what we were doing and really interested to find out the results. So everyone that we spoke to who was expecting Emma and Hannah to show up were really keen. But unfortunately, a couple of people who were expecting Liam and Harry were a little bit disappointed when we showed up.
Both teams received 14 email responses each. What was in these emails was very different. Starting off with greetings, the male team, Liam and Harry, received informal and gendered greetings such as "all right chaps" 20 times.
The women, only once. The rest of their greetings were formal, gender neutral, so things like "hello Emma and Hannah" or "hi both."
Literally from hello, we have different experiences based on our genders. The language throughout the emails is entirely different. The men received 10 uses of slang.
The women, only 1. So whilst you might not like the slang, the reality is that receiving this kind of informality is going to put you far much more at ease to then get your points across and feel comfortable in these exchanges. And so the men are already given this kind of additional advantage compared to the women.
The length of emails was extraordinarily different. On average, it took just 98 words to respond to the men team.
But for the women, it took 180 on average. So this is almost double. Why is it taking so many additional words to respond to the women when the original emails sent are exactly the same?
Harry and Liam received apologies for the hassle of rescheduling or cancelling crits. Things like, sorry to do this last minute.
It's a nice courtesy, but it's not one that was afforded to Emma and Hannah at the same frequency. 7 times versus just twice. Whereas the women, they were given emotional reassurance. Emma and Hannah were told things like, it gets better in time, and don't worry, this is just one person's opinion. This happened 12 times.
The men? Not once. Why do women receive emotional support but not the men? The men then went on to receive 7 online crits.
The women, just 2. These crits are really important to make a first impression, leave a lasting impression, build your network. It's really vital in getting a job. And yet Emma and Hannah were given so few compared to their counterparts.
Even with the same book and the same email, there was something preventing Emma and Hannah from being offered online crits. And this continued. The men got 9 offers of continued contact.
And the women only got 6. So that's 3 more opportunities that Harry and Liam have got for the future. So that's 3 more networks to explore, to be referred to, 3 more chances of being put forward for a job that's going, 3 more chances to really make it in the industry. And we all know and remember how vital every single meeting and little interaction that we had in those first few months of being out of university really count. So they're really missing out.
Whether you prefer formal or informal, emotional support or no emotional support, the real issue here is the difference.
Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with the friendly treatment. The issue here is that there is a stark difference in the way in which gender affects how you're communicated with.
And if we set out from day one that women are treated differently to their male counterparts, it sets a precedent for our entire careers.
Yeah, as women, we're going to become used to being spoken to in a completely different way, and it's just going to carry on this cycle.
We wanted to make these numbers feel more human, and we didn't want to lose what led us to create this study in the first place. So we spoke to other men and women also entering the ad industry.
Now, I think we should play a little game. I want you to try and guess the gender of the person giving these quotes. We simply asked our peers, how has your gender affected entering the ad industry?
I have been called good girl. I haven't ever been referred to as a male creative.
I have a gender neutral name, so people always expect a man to walk through the doors.
I haven't felt that being a man has made it any easier or whatever, but when you look outward, I think it's easy to realise that it probably has played a role.
One time, a tutor told me and my partner that we shouldn't do a risky campaign because we seemed like nice girls.
The industry is probably one of the better industries for not holding a biased view.
I knew a CD that was being overly friendly in a very sexual way, but I felt I owed him one, so I had to play the game he wanted. I was trapped.
I think my own experience of being a man in the ad industry doesn't feel as though it has had any impact on my career or work.
An agency guy then tried to sleep with me because apparently women get around in his line of work. When I pushed him away, he told me I would fail in advertising with that attitude.
Those are just a few experiences of our peers and colleagues entering the industry this year.
You can look around the room today and attend conferences like this and know that yes, as an industry, we have made so much progress when it comes to inclusivity, but the work is very much far from over. When we finished this study, we decided to share the results with some senior women that we know in the industry, and there was a really overwhelming sense of just shock at the results.
Yeah, they were really hopeful that things had changed, but that's just not the case. And when juniors are so often left out of conversations around inclusivity, their experiences just go unheard.
Yeah, I guess the reality is that these quotes, they feel like they're from 20 years ago, but they're literally from this year.
So we really need to work together, not only to ensure that women reach higher levels of power later in their careers, but that women juniors walk through those doors on their first day with confidence.
So we didn't want to just collect all of this information and demonstrate all of these problems and then not offer any kind of solutions. So this is a real systemic issue in the advertising industry, and there's no quick fix or easy thing that we can do to get rid of it completely. However, there are things that we can begin to do to start making those changes so that the juniors entering our advertising industry today have a better chance. So, based on our research and experiences that we've collected, we've come up with some solutions, things that you can do today and things that you can do for tomorrow.
Keep it gender neutral. Don't use gendered greetings like "hey lads" or "hi girls." We like "hi both," or just use people's names. That's literally what they're for.
Create a template email. If you've got loads of grads in your inbox, then the easiest thing to do is just create a template that you send to absolutely everyone. That way you've got no chance of slipping into different tones or changing the way that you communicate based on who you're communicating to.
And check your inbox. Are there grads waiting to hear from you? If so, think about who you respond to and who you don't. We can all tell ourselves it's because of a catchy headline or a well-written email, but be conscious of your own bias and reply to people that don't just look like you.
Remember, this is real. We spoke to a man in the industry who said, and I quote, "The industry historically prioritizes hiring talent above all else, but it's just not the case, and we know this is true." And we haven't even touched on things like how race, disability, age, being LGBTQ+ is going to affect getting a job.
What would this look like if Emma and Hannah were Amina and Tahiyat? What if Harry had a visible disability? What if Emma was beginning her career in her 50s? When we see more diverse ads on our screens and more diversity in our offices, it becomes easy to forget that we still have a long way to go.
You're already doing the research by being here, but don't stop there. There's always more you can read, more you can look into as things are ever changing. If you want to have a more in-depth deep dive into our study, you can find it at thegenderagenda.co.uk, and we're also on Twitter.
Take it to the boss. Share this research with your boss, with your colleagues, with your HR managers. Inquire about unconscious bias training. Challenge your agency to take company-wide action and hold them accountable.
Get them in the room. Help support and guide young creatives by mentoring them and giving them your time.
We created this study because we didn't have anyone to turn to when things got tough. No HR department to report misconduct to. There's no rule book or guidelines to tell you what's inappropriate behaviour.
We felt totally alone and totally on our own. And right now, there are thousands of students out there who are probably feeling very much the same. So be that helping hand, reach out and do all that you can to help them.
We all have the power to change the industry's sexism problem, and it all starts with hello.
Thank you for listening. We've been Jessica Kielstra and Nina Forbes.